Hello, welcome to today's webinar. This video will summarize the project planning, implementation, findings, and lessons learned by Sacramento County Department of Child Support Services regarding the use of digital marketing resources for child support purposes. This project was possible thanks to funding from the Federal Office of Child Support Enforcement. Sacramento County DCSS contracted with MEF Associates to assist us in the development, implementation, and evaluation of the project. Today, you will be hearing from three of us. Myself, Alex Hike-Bruno, will talk to you about the project's background, planning, and road test. Then Jordan Engel from MEF Associates will share findings and lessons learned from the project. And Gina Patterson from Sacramento County DCSS will share what we're looking forward to in terms of the nearby future as we continue implementing lessons from this project. This video will move in the following order. We will first cover the project's origin and planning. We will then take you through the implementation of the individual road test. And after that, we will cover the findings and lessons learned from each one of those road tests. We will finalize with what we expect to be our next steps, not only with this project, but with the agency in the nearby future. Sacramento County DCSS is one of the original 14 grantees who were awarded a Section 1115 grant to explore digital marketing resources applied to the child support program. Originally, this was a 2-year project running from October 2018 through October 2020. Unfortunately, the COVID-19 pandemic impacted the project, and an additional year was added in order to successfully complete all activities associated to the project. As many other child support agencies in 2018, Sacramento County DCSS was exploring the reasons behind our declining caseload. After conducting further research into the matter, we determined that many parents who could probably use child support services in their life perhaps were not aware of what we as an agency can do for them and how we can assist them at little to no cost to them. This is why, knowing that we could use digital tools to educate and engage parents in our community, we started this project with two main objectives. We wanted to build a digital presence in our community and we wanted to increase the number of new applications received. Even though we had a website up to this point, we had no real digital footprint as an agency in terms of social media or other digital tools. This grant allowed us to reach prospective parents using digital tools with information about the child support program. We knew that we could make an impact and encourage them to submit an application if we were able to present our services to them. At the beginning of the project, our hypothesis was that our target population should be low-income parents in Sacramento County who might be getting system types such as Medicaid or food stamps, because that wouldn't necessarily make them a mandated referral for us as a child support agency, but that could be an indicator that this family might need financial assistance to make ends meet. With this information in mind, we designed a 4-road test project to reach prospective customers through different digital platforms. And even though I will be discussing the 4 tests at this point in time, we will get into the details of each one of this test at a later time in the video. But we first tested paid ads through Facebook and YouTube. Then, as a second test, we partnered with the Department of Human Assistance to send a video ad via cold email campaign to prospective parents. As a third campaign, we placed ads via the video streaming platform Hulu. And as a final and fourth test, we tested the placement of an Instagram story ad. As I mentioned before, we will cover each road test individually when we go over the findings and lessons learned. Each one of these road tests allow us not only to establish a digital presence, such as a Facebook page or a YouTube channel, but it also allows us to learn how to manage each one of these tools, which is something that we had not done before. Not only did we learn to use the tool for each individual road test, but we have now incorporated them into our operations so we can continue building an audience and provide valuable content to our followers. An important component for each one of these road tests was the budget. We wanted to reach as many prospective customers as we could, but we also wanted to conduct road tests that other child support agencies could replicate on their own without a dedicated marketing budget. Based on the fact that Sacramento County has an estimated population of 1.5 million people, we decided that a modest budget of $3,000 per campaign would be sufficient to reach prospective customers while also keeping costs low. This would, again, a lower budget associated to a campaign would allow the possibility of replicating a test later on in the future. All of our road tests had as a main component a video ad. Back in 2018, when the project began, short video ads were capturing audience engagement over other options such as pictures or text. Keeping this in mind, we decided to test the concept of a short video ad through different platforms and measure the engagement for all of them. Later on during this video, Jordan will explain how each of the video ads perform and the differences among them. Our experience with each of the video ads informed the creation of the next one to ensure we maximized engagement and met customer expectations. Although each video ad tested is different from each other, the storyline remained the same. We wanted to establish a brand and for parents to develop familiarity with our ads if they happen to be targeted by more than one of the road tests. All of our videos were produced by a small local videographer who worked with us throughout the entire project. We kept the production costs for these videos low by providing the talent and shooting locations ourselves. An interesting fact about our videos is that the actress portraying the mother is a child support professional with our office, and the child is related to our principal attorney. We wanted our videos to have a natural look, and we were very happy with the results. You will be seeing this video shortly. Next, you will hear from Jordan Engel from MEF Associates. She will cover the individual details for each road test, their findings, and lessons learned.
Thanks, Alex. Now, as she mentioned, I'm going to be talking about each individual road test, as well as the broader lessons we learned from this series of interventions over the last 4 years. The first road test compared the same video advertisement and budget on 2 different platforms, Facebook and YouTube. The ad ran for the month of July 2019 and looks slightly different on the 2 platforms. On Facebook, users could click a link to DCSS's online application. On YouTube, there was no link in the ad, and viewers would have to click on the video advertisement, then be directed to the same video posted on DCSS's YouTube page. The link to DCSS's online application was included in the description of the video ad. Embedding the link in the YouTube ad would have required a large existing YouTube presence, which DCSS did not have at the time of the first test. As you can see in the table, our targeted audience differed slightly on the 2 platforms. With the YouTube ad, we focused on certain topics and audiences that we hope would capture parents. For example, we targeted users whose search histories across Google's broad suite of services indicated interest in family and relationships, parents, and baby and children's products. With Facebook, we could target more specifically to our intended audience. We targeted the ad towards users 18 and above who were interested in family or parents. We excluded parents with graduate degrees as a proxy for limiting our sample to low-income parents. The last difference between the 2 platforms related to our bidding strategy. The bidding strategy dictates how the platform will spend our budget and what action they will target. We wanted to maximize link clicks with the Facebook ad, and as we weren't able to embed a link in the YouTube ad, we bid to maximize views. We'll discuss some of the findings later on, but it's important to note that we weren't able to track the customer journey on either platform. What that means is that we had no way to tell who the viewers of the ad were and whether those users who did click on the links to the online application started or completed the application, or went on to open a child support case. The video in the first ad was conceptualized following a focus group with 5 single mothers who were eligible to receive child support but were not participating in the program. Feedback from the focus group suggested potentially effective messages for compelling qualified parents to open child support cases. Essentially, these messages stressed that parents are busy and that DCSS could help them acquire resources with minimal hassle. The 30-second video ad, which I'll play shortly, features a single mother going about her morning routine. The tagline was, "We can't help with everything, but we can help with your child support." And as Alex mentioned, the ad was revised for each intervention.
As a parent, you do so much every single day. You face many challenges just to make sure you're there for your child. We can't help you with everything, but we can help with your child support. You have options. Apply any time of the day from the privacy of your home.
For the second road test, we wanted to send a targeted email campaign to our exact target audience, parents in Sacramento County receiving CalFresh or Medi-Cal. To reach this audience, DCSS partnered with the Sacramento County Department of Human Assistance, or DHA, which operates both CalFresh and Medi-Cal. Our original goal was for DHA to share the email address with DCSS, who would then send out the ad directly using their preferred email delivery system. However, due to privacy concerns, DHA needed to be the ones to send the email. DCSS designed the email using a communications tool called GovDelivery and supplied the email to DHA, who then sent out the email to those identified parents, which showed up in their inboxes as being delivered from Sacramento County. The benefit of this strategy is that compared to some of the other tests, we knew that we were reaching the whole universe of parents receiving CalFresh or Medi-Cal. We didn't know, however, whether those email recipients already had cases with DCSS. This strategy was relatively low cost. There was no direct fee for sending the email via GovDelivery, so the only real cost with this test was staff time. We did run into some delays and challenges associated with data sharing and collaboration across public agencies under different roofs. Privacy restrictions also prevented DCSS from receiving the email addresses of the ad recipients. We were again not able to tell who viewed the ad and then went on to open a child support case. Further, the email ad was delivered on February 24, 2020, just 1 week before California Governor Gavin Newsom declared a state of emergency due to COVID-19. Any changes in enrollment trends during this time may have been influenced by the pandemic as well as our intervention. Here we look at the email design. We tried to engage recipients with behavioral prompts. We encouraged parents to learn about their options, and we chose the phrase, "Getting started is easy," after hearing about a test that another grantee, the Indiana Child Support Bureau, ran in which they found the phrase, "Getting started," received the most clicks compared to other terms, such as register, sign me up, and open a case. On the email, recipients could click one of many links that would direct them to the online application, to DCSS's website, or to the second video ad on YouTube. As you'll remember, the first ad featured a single mother going about her daily routine. A focus group DCSS ran found that parents wanted to see the mother in the ad interacting with her child. So the second ad showed the same mother and her son spending quality time together. The ad had the same tagline, "We can't help with everything, but we can help with your child support."
As a parent, you do so much every single day. You want only the very best for your children. We can't help you with everything, but we can help with your child support.
Come on, son, we're gonna be late.
You have options. Apply any time of the day from the privacy of your home.
For the third road test, DCSS wanted to reach potential customers in a different way. We noticed that content streaming had increased during COVID, likely in part influenced by stay-at-home orders. We also wanted to run this ad during the holidays to take advantage of increased viewing trends during winter months. We decided to participate in beta testing Hulu's new small business self-service ad manager. Compared to typical Hulu advertising, which requires a larger budget, we were able to stick to our $3,000 budget to send in more bare-bones ads for 30 days. With this Hulu ad, we were able to deliver a revised 30-second video ad to parents ages 25 to 49 in Sacramento and nearby counties who have an ad-supported Hulu plan. Viewers could not skip the ad, though data indicates many users will turn down the volume, walk away, or simply ignore advertisements. For this third intervention, DCSS wanted to share the message about Turplecourt, a web-based interface similar to TurboTax, which guides applicants through the submission process. DCSS created an account with Turplecourt in July 2020 to hopefully ease the application process for potential customers. We were not able to include a clickable link anywhere in the ad. We did, however, feature an easy-to-type web address to Turplecourt on the final frames of the video.
As a parent, you do so much every single day. You want only the very best for your children. We can't help you with everything, but we can help with your child support.
Come on, son, we're gonna be late.
You have options, and now with Turplecourt, applying is easier than ever. Enroll any time of the day from the privacy of your home.
For the fourth road test, we placed an ad on Instagram Stories. Stories are photos and videos separate from an Instagram profile that are only accessible to an audience for 24 hours. Story ads run in between different account stories. We use similar targeting as the Facebook ad in the first road test, again featuring parents in Sacramento County without graduate degrees. However, we excluded those parents 65 and older, as we expected them to be less likely to use Instagram and wanted to focus our funds to the younger demographic of parents. Instagram Story ads allows users to swipe up on the video ad for a certain action. Swiping up on this ad would direct viewers to the Turplecourt application. However, we wanted to test out two different framings for swiping up. Inspired by a similar type of test that the Indiana Child Support Bureau ran, we conducted an A/B test comparing the same exact video, target audience, and billing strategy that either told users to apply now or sign up for child support services. We split our typical $3,000 per intervention budget in two, so each campaign had a maximum spend of $1,500 and was designed to maximize link clicks, or in this case, swipe ups. Story ads are limited to 15 seconds and must be displayed vertically. We reshot a similar video to the previous test with these parameters. The fourth advertisement again featured Turplecourt. With this 15-second ad, we had to learn to be really judicious in what content we included.
As a parent, you want only the very best for your children. We can't help you with everything, but we can help with your child support. Apply online any time of the day from the privacy of your own home. As a parent,
That was the summary of each of the four tests. And now I'm going to talk about some of the primary findings across all four ads. For more detail on a specific ad's findings, you can visit the project page for this grant on OCSE's website or on mefassociates.com. Let's look at how our ads performed against each other. The first common item across all ads was impressions. Impressions represent the number of times content, such as the Facebook ad, email, or Instagram story, was displayed to users. As you can see, delivered impressions varied widely across the ads, which all had the same maximum budget of $3,000. The email campaign delivered the fewest number of impressions, as it was only delivered to those parents receiving CalFresh or Medi-Cal in Sacramento County. The email campaign was also only sent out once, whereas the other ads may have been delivered multiple times to the same users. Hulu and Instagram delivered a modest number of impressions, delivering the ad between 80,000 and 130,000 times. Facebook delivered the ad widely, over 250,000 times over the month-long campaign. You can see here that YouTube had the largest number of impressions by far, delivering the ad almost 400,000 times. However, as you'll see on the next slide, not all impressions were of the same quality, and only a small portion of these hundreds of thousands of impressions translated into link clicks. Our desired action for each of the advertisements is link clicks. We wanted viewers of each ad to navigate to DCSS's online application and hopefully complete the application and open a child support case. We wanted to see how much it cost, on average, for each click on the ads. We were only able to calculate the cost per click for Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The Hulu ad did not include any clickable links, and the cost per click for the email campaign couldn't be calculated, as the only costs associated with the campaign were for staff time. I'll also note here that the cost per click for the YouTube ad represent clicks on the advertisement to the video itself on DCSS's YouTube page and not to the online application. We can see on this graph that the cost per click was much lower for Facebook at $1.11 compared to Instagram and YouTube, which each had an average cost of over $4.50 per click. Of course, our goal for the entire grant was to counteract the declining trend in case openings and to improve awareness of and access to DCSS services. We were not able to track any ad recipients from viewing the ad through to completing an application, so we would not be able to attribute any changes in application trends to these interventions. However, when we look at the new voluntary case opening trends in the year preceding each intervention, the intervention period in brighter blue on these graphs, we see that new voluntary cases change month to month regardless of the intervention. Fluctuations in new case openings are typical and may be influenced by outside factors, such as other marketing strategies, economic conditions, and events in the world, such as COVID-19. Those were the key findings that we could speak to across the campaigns. Now let's talk about what we learned as an agency from conducting these 4 interventions. The main takeaway from these tests is that you need to ask yourself some important questions when designing and conducting digital media campaigns. At a high level, you need to determine your goal for the campaign, as well as what you want to know after the campaign. We'll dive more into each of these questions. You may ask yourself multiple follow-up questions when thinking about your goal for the campaign. These include who you're trying to reach, the action you'd like the viewer to take after seeing your ad, and what you can accomplish within your budget. Your answer to these questions will help you make decisions about what type of ad you'd like to run and on which platform. Your target audience may influence your choice of ad delivery and platform. Once you determine your target audience, you should consider where that audience accesses content. One thing that we learned was that low-income audiences tend to use mobile devices and may have less frequent access to desktops or tablets. So it was important for all of our content to be accessible on mobile platforms. We also learned throughout the campaign the importance of knowing your audience. For instance, in the first road test, we saw that Facebook knew much more about the ad recipients than YouTube did. You can see on the screen here, YouTube delivered over half of the total impressions to users with an unknown gender, whereas Facebook delivered the ad to fewer than 1% of users with unknown gender. What we'll see later is that the quality of our impressions was much higher on Facebook than on YouTube. We also considered our audience and our strategy in the 4th campaign. We decided to limit our audience to parents 18 to 64 as we wanted to maximize our budget and felt that we would be less likely to see conversions from Instagram users over the age of 65. In future campaigns, we will be intentional in choosing our target population and choosing a platform that allows us to narrow our ad audience. It's important to consider the desired action that you'd like users to complete after viewing your ad. Our goal in all campaigns was to encourage users to navigate to DCSS's online application system. However, not all platforms easily offered that connection to DCSS's website. For example, in the first intervention, users had to navigate from the advertisement to the video itself on DCSS's YouTube page, where they would then need to click on the link to the application in the video description. That's a lot of steps for the user to take compared to the Instagram ad on the right side of the slide, where they could simply swipe up to apply now and be directed to the Turplecourt application. If you do face limitations of what the ad platform allows, consider ways to make your action easy for the viewer. We weren't able to include a clickable link in the YouTube or Hulu ad. However, in the first ad, The final frame of the video, shown on screen here, encouraged users to apply online today, but it didn't display the link to the application page. In the Hulu ad, we ensured that the final frame of the video displayed the web address to the Turplecourt application. The ad's design also influences whether users will know to take the desired action. For example, in our email campaign, we featured many links to the DCSS website, to the YouTube channel, and to the online application portal. This may have overwhelmed users who may not know which link to click. If we were to redesign this campaign, we might limit the number of links so that users are directed to the specific link of our interest. When designing campaigns, consider conducting an A/B test to learn which messaging resonates with your audience. A/B testing is a process where viewers randomly are shown one of 2 or more versions of the same campaign. In our Instagram ad, we conducted A/B testing to learn which framing would most motivate ad viewers to navigate to DCSS's application page. In a learning community call for this grant, we heard from the Indiana Child Support Bureau that they had conducted an A/B test and found that the phrase "getting started" increased the click-through rate on their ad by 115% compared to terms like apply, sign me up, or open a case. We were really curious what we'd see with our ad. Interestingly, we had expected sign up to do better, as it implies that potential customers will actually receive services, whereas apply now clarifies that applicants may not be accepted or approved to open a case. However, as you can see on the screen here, we found that apply now received more link clicks even when delivered to fewer parents, and had a much lower cost per click than sign up. Further, if we ran the same test multiple times, we would expect apply now to have a lower cost per click 67% of the time. This difference between our hypothesis and the results shows the importance of testing out multiple versions of campaigns when possible. We've now learned for future tests what type of messaging resonates with our audience. Consider the options available within your budget. With the same budget of roughly $3,000, we saw very different results for each of our campaigns. On the screen are some key elements of each campaign: the relative reach and impressions, the possibility to link to the child support application, and the conversion rate, or the average number of links per 1,000 delivered impressions. Some of the most exaggerated differences related to impressions and cost per click on the email campaign and the YouTube ad. YouTube delivered the campaign 380,000 times, which is 36 times the amount of email recipients. However, the YouTube ad only received 1.77 clicks per 1,000 impressions, compared to a conversion rate of 11.11 clicks per 1,000 impressions on the email campaign. The cost of these campaigns differed as well. With a little over $3,000 spent on YouTube, the cost per click was $4.52, whereas the email campaign had no direct costs and only associated staff time. This comparison emphasizes the trade-offs that you might make when conducting a digital media campaign. Our goal for the grant was both to increase voluntary case openings of DCSS and to increase awareness of DCSS and the support services the agency offers to parents. If we were solely focused on increasing case openings, we might choose to run more email campaigns, which have a smaller, more targeted audience that might be more prone to opening a child support case. The email campaign wouldn't be our best bet, however, if we wanted to raise awareness of child support services among a broad range of potentially eligible parents. We might instead choose to run a YouTube ad, which would deliver impressions to a large number of users who may or may not go on to apply for child support. So what are these takeaways? First, when designing a campaign with a set budget, think about the capabilities of a different platform and what you can achieve within your budget. Bidding strategies should be aligned with the desired action, for example, to maximize link clicks or reach. Second, knowing your audience helps a lot. Note the high conversion rate for the email campaign, which had a really targeted audience. Finally, your goal matters. A campaign with large reach may not necessarily translate into the desired action, say child support applications. But if your goal is to increase awareness, you might choose a campaign with a really broad audience. Now, the second big category of questions to ask yourself is, what do you hope to know after the campaign? You'll need to be able to track viewers after seeing the ad and monitor the intended action to be able to know the effects of the campaign. With all 4 of our interventions, barriers to tracking, including privacy protections and lack of links, prevented us from mapping the full customer journey, from viewing an ad, to applying to services, to opening a child support case. Without tracking those parents from viewing the ad to submitting an application, we cannot track trends in enrollments or applications to any of our campaigns. It's important to not go beyond the data. Because we were not able to track the customer journey map, we don't know whether the placement of any of these ads drove viewers to submit child support applications and voluntarily open child support cases. Now, we can't say anything about the effect of the ads on new voluntary case openings at DCSS. We can say something about the reach of our ads. With a roughly $12,000 ad spend, as well as costs associated with staff time and producing the videos, our video content was delivered to hundreds of thousands of parents in Sacramento County. And further, DCSS now has the internal capacity to continue using digital marketing strategies beyond the grant. In fact, Gina is going to speak next about what's next for DCSS in regards to digital outreach to potential customers.
Thank you, Jordan. So in addition to having a greater variety of tools and media platforms, we really had to think about how to long-term preserve what we've learned and integrate it into the work that we're doing here at our department in Sacramento County. So part of that discussion has been thinking about how we can educate our coworkers in the outreach team to best carry on this work. So some initiatives that we've taken on is providing opportunities for those staff members to join at social media conferences and to jump in and really be aware of these initiatives that we're doing and the lessons learned from that. And additionally, what's been a really great lesson learned from the DOME project, as Jordan was speaking about, was really embracing having a data-driven approach. So one way that we've incorporated that in some of our more recent campaigns, such as our Mother's Day outreach campaign and our Father's Day outreach campaign, has been to review our end of year customer demographic data and ensure that the images and messaging that we are using in our campaigns are reflective of the customers and communities that we're serving. And one exciting thing I hope that we can even further challenge ourselves and leverage some of the work that we've done through this project is in a new OCSE grant that we were just recently awarded, which has to do with targeting youth in our community as a teen pregnancy prevention campaign. And we're really excited about what kinds of new doors and lessons that this project will allow for us. So we can transition to the next slide. Thank you. Great. So to speak a little bit further to how we are doing some more data-driven work is that we're working with some of our colleagues within our department to really continue that conversation about how are you ensuring that these campaigns are reaching the folks that you're wanting to target, and how are you meeting your objectives and measuring that. So one example of that was just in the past month, I was working with some colleagues on a postcard campaign in which they had no data from a prior postcard campaign as to whether or not it had been successful. So we took a look at some options and found an opportunity to incorporate a QR code so that when customers were following the call to action to go to a website, not only was it easier for them to use that technology to go directly to the site we were asking them to visit, but to then also be able to track and measure how much participation we were getting from that campaign. So we're really excited to look forward to the results of that and see how that information can better inform future initiatives that we take on. And additionally, something that we find really important in thinking about this kind of outreach work that we're doing is ensuring that it's really customer centered. So specifically thinking about the new project that we're about to go into with working with youth, it's a little bit different in terms of the goal of who we're targeting, because it's not necessarily existing customers and it's not necessarily with the goal to increase our caseload. It's a little different. We're looking at how can we prevent folks from experiencing hardship, and perhaps we don't want them to be our customers in the future. And so really listening to them in terms of what kinds of stories, images are going to be interesting to them, and especially working with youth of ages that are not within our teams, we really look forward to hearing what resonates for them. So some things that we anticipate in doing that is perhaps having more of an Instagram presence. We've just begun that through this project and hope to continue that. And perhaps we'll even have the opportunity to create some TikTok videos. We know that's something that's really popular with the younger generation. So really looking forward to continuing to do this work.
We thank you for your time today, and we hope that the information contained in this video is helpful to other child support agencies or other public agencies in general who might be exploring adding a digital presence to their operations. From our experience, we know there's a lot to be learned, and we hope that we have shared that with you today. This was definitely a team effort. Aside from our partnership with MEF Associates and the work we did with Accelerated Video, who was our videographer throughout this project, our second road test, as you could tell, was very complex and crossed some agency lines. So we want to thank the Sacramento County Department of Human Assistance and the Sacramento County Department of Technology, who also participated on that second test with us. Thank you and have a good day.